All right, Earthlings, welcome back to the Thunder and Dice channel with your boys, the Thunder and Dice Brothers. And the first episode of Starfleet Academy dropped today, and after watching that abysmal trailer, we had very, very low expectations of the show. And I have to say, I was actually pleasantly surprised. Now, there's some things that I have issues with, but on balance, I kind of gotta say, Star Trek is kind of back in a way that Strange New Worlds didn't bring Star Trek back. And I'm gonna tell you why after you react to what you thought real quick of the episode.
I was not the very beginning of the episode is extremely boring. The first 10 minutes definitely take a long, 15 maybe, take a long time to get anywhere of substance. So I wasn't really sure how to feel about it. And then plus on the back of that trailer, that was a stupidly deceptive teaser trailer. And I wish they would not have dropped it and dropped an actual collection of events of the season to then just give you a brief overview what was going on instead of just a random ship fight and then blow up that ship, which felt completely not Star Trek and everything else that accompanied the trailer. But after watching it I'm definitely a lot more curious and a lot more optimistic about the show. But I'm going to say that Star Trek is back just yet because there are still too many things that feel weird and I'm not sure of. So I don't want to paint the whole show with just after watching the first episode. But I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't as bad as I thought, and a lot of things made a lot more sense once you saw the first episode, and then connected it to a few other things that happened, in previous shows like Discovery and that type of stuff. So I'm curious though, what exactly do you mean by Star Trek's back?
One of the things about Star Trek that was missing is the absolute competency, teamwork, coming together to find a simple solution to a complex problem. The captain diverting the enemy away from the real target of the mission, buying time for the crew, snatching victories from the jaws of certain defeat. All of that, the last 15 minutes of that felt very Star Trek.
That's a really good point.
You had all those guys together, working together to save the first officer, while also saving the ship and also saving a person who was actively dying, saving the ship. You got introduced to a few core characters, forced them to work together, where before there was only contention in that very brief scene where they're kind of it felt like jocks vying for a position in high school, more than it felt like a mature college thing, but whatever.
A good case of testosterone poisoning if you've ever seen it.
Exactly. And then to turn that around, and then actually they have to work together, and asshole one, asshole two, that kind of stuff, and it had a lightheartedness to it that other more recent Star Trek has missed, in my opinion. I think Disco is very serious. I'm going to say that Strange New Worlds is a bit too personal relationship driven, which makes it too serious, doesn't have enough exploration or whimsy to it. Now, this isn't necessarily exploration right now. I mean, we've got a school that can fly, which is
actually dope.
It actually kind of works. I really, really think they did the show dirty by releasing the teaser in the way that they did. Now, does that teaser have cool elements like the space battles and the ships
coming together and all that type of stuff? Yeah, really cool stuff.
All that stuff is cool, but man, watching it made it be like, what the hell are we in store for? This isn't Star Trek. But now, with the context that surrounded that battle and the way that they actually had that whole long interplay where the captain draws the attention, creates the diversion, and trusts in the initiative and intelligence of the cadets, actually. That's a little unbelievable there, but it's fine. We can look past that because it just felt more like what I want from Star Trek.
No, yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, the competency level of all the officers. They don't suddenly question when the cadets are like, why do you need access to this? Blah, 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 blah. It's just no, I have I need to do this, this, and this to accomplish these goals. And then the officers are like, all right, brilliant. Right, let's go this. You start doing this. As you said, the med scene where number one was just all right, you go get me a tricorder, or you go get yourself a tricorder, you go get me something that I can go bite down on. They all suddenly start doing it. They all get on mission. They all realize that everything is super important. They coalesce really quickly, even though they've had no chance of actual bonding or training in in these circumstances, except one person whose father was an admiral. But no, yeah, that's true. I didn't catch that at first because I was just more just kind of passively, well, not passively, I was just watching it and that, but yeah, that's a really good point. That's true. Actually, that does make it a little bit better now that, not that I thought it was bad, but that extra element of cohesion does
That's a
really
bit of
bring the
capturing.
show.
And having the lighthearted stuff, some of the banter. One of the charming things about the original series is that it was serious and it dealt with serious things. It just put them in different situations and experiences. But at the end of the day, it was always just the trio kind of joking and ribbing each other a little bit at the end of the episode. It wasn't quite like the freeze frame, like haha laughing thing, but there was always an element of playfulness in TOS. And there was some of that in TNG as well. Actually, kind of a lot of it. Think about, especially early, how kind of goofy Riker can be sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Guinan and Q are very like kind of sometimes lighthearted and goofy characters. So that was kind of missing. Star Trek started taking itself not too seriously, but started going in a more like serious direction. Things were darker.
I would say that Strange New Worlds took itself way too seriously.
And here's the thing that I don't like about this right now. Okay, the director of photography had a ton of fun on this episode, at least. I don't know about the show in general, but I could tell he was playing with light a lot. Now, that works great in a movie like Skyfall. Star Trek on a ship like that, all moody and lit all mysteriously, and be able to play with like shadows, and is great cinematography. It's just odd on a spaceship that's not like a museum piece. You know, it's aesthetic to the nth degree. Everything is so shiny and so polished and so reflective and so aesthetic, and even the robots look like they came out of a Pixar movie. You know, they're all
I
friendly.
expected Wall-E to suddenly appear and say hi.
Exactly.
And then, like, also with the lighting, it's either stupidly bright or stupidly dim. There's just no mid-section.
Yeah. It was a great first episode, though. And I have to say, though, the beginning 15 minutes really started me on a negative track. I really had to remind myself to keep my mind open.
Yeah. It definitely didn't feel like Star Trek. That summary judgment from the captain, just like, we're going to take your kid away. We're going to...
No trial or anything.
Like, no trial shown. Just, we're going to lock you away. It's like, yeah, you got duped into this, but a Starfleet officer got killed. So, well, we're just going to throw the book at you. I mean, super traumatic. And the redeeming part of that was when the kid escaped.
Yes.
And you're just like, oh shit, all right, something actually is happening that
I did not expect.
Yeah, everything else, though, was just like, wow, when did Star Trek become, like, 15th century England?
And we do have to remember that this is, like, post-Golden Age of the Federation. The burn
has
has
happened.
Dilithium, etc.
The Federation is now hobbled, basically.
And they're rebuilding. I mean, Starfleet Academy is reopening on Earth after 120 years.
So it makes sense that you're going to be a lot more rough in justice.
Yeah, they are trying to rebuild and get back to the point that we think of as peak Star Trek, where the ideals are upheld and the wants and petty bickering of humanity has mostly been left behind. And it does kind of show that you take away the utopian veneer of Star Trek and the base instincts of humanity and of people in general are still exposed. So good sci-fi does that well, and it looks like we're angling towards some good sci-fi again, I think.
Yeah, no, I have hope for this show, a lot more so than I've had hope for everything else outside of Star Trek minus Lower Decks. So, I mean, like, I think Academy, if they keep up on this track and don't start doing anything like stupid...
Fuck.
This actually might be a pretty interesting story worthy of Star Trek. I mean, like, this might be a little too early, and we're not giving it a gold brush yet or giving it our certification of Star Trek authentication. But if they keep going down this way, I'm hopeful. So I'm definitely looking forward to episode 2.
Yep, pleasantly surprised. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Let's all enjoy Star Trek together, going forward into a new brave new millennium of Star Trek fandom.
Absolutely, but before you guys exit the video, like, comment, and subscribe down below, and we will see you guys next time.